please pay attention. I'll be real polite and say, please pay attention. We're going to delve right into our meeting shortly. I just called the meeting to order, if you didn't realize what that was. And the few things that I wanted to talk to you about, had you had the privilege of being here the last two meetings, you would have seen me say, hey, I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes. And right now, I want to acknowledge 2 or 3 mistakes I made. At least, okay, 3. So, 1, the last time I was standing in this spot. So, there's a procedural order to do things. You make a motion, call for a seconder, ask for the question, that's when you debate it, and then you vote, okay? On some occasions, I didn't do that properly last time, my bad. If I don't do it this time, and you notice that, please just put your hand up and say, hey, you're not doing that right, you can try again. Secondly, another very important issue that, and I find it important in my eyes, so I want to clarify it. So this gentleman right here, Councillor Sturgeon, is our deputy mayor. There will be times this evening when I want to take part in the debate. I will leave this. Councillor Sturgeon will take over being mayor, and I will step down to his spot and take part in the debate. Last time I didn't do that properly. Third thing I want to acknowledge tonight. This meeting is being recorded. Okay? It's being recorded by different people, and I'm going to ask you all to put your recording devices away, because having them out is not legal. Right there on that wall, you'll see a sign. It says when that red button's on, it's lit up. This room's being recorded. So, fair warning, everything we say and do in here is being recorded. Tina's going to hit the button. Hopefully. Oh, watch her make a liar. Nope, there we go, red light. Thank you, Tina. I was just going to ask Nathan to do that. I turned it on earlier. Tina had it on, I turned it off because I wanted to make everybody aware that was there. So.
Where would those recordings be available?
I'm getting there. Hang on. So, those recordings, where are they available? If you want to go on our website, Mercy River Valley website, tomorrow, or just as fast as our technician can get it up there, this whole meeting is there for all of you to see. So, it's going to save you all this. Okay, I think that's all the ground rules that I wanted to set, except for this one. Tonight, we are here. We are all human, we are all emotional, and we're all passionate. We are going to treat everyone in this room with courtesy, honesty, and respect. You may not like the person next to you, or above you, or below you, but that's the way the meeting is going to operate. There's going to be one person that has the floor to speak. In this case, it's me, and I'm talking for. But you are not permitted to speak if you do not have the floor. And if you choose to speak out of order, I will respectfully ask you to depart. Okay? So is everybody aware of the ground rules we're playing it with? Courtesy, honesty, and respect. Having said that, let's move on. Council attendance. Everybody's here except for the absence of Paul. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. And council, we've had the agenda now for some time. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Moved by Councillor Buggy, seconded by Councillor Holohan.
Almost.
We don't have to debate that, so, or do we? No.
If I may, Madam Mayor, 11.3, 11.4, if we could remove those from the agenda, and we will look to be adding that at a later date. Thank you very much.
Okay, so under new business, Councillor Underhill has removed, two items of 11.3 and 11.4. Is there anything else that you would like to say, councillors, about the agenda?
I do have some correspondence to add, but I don't think that has to be expressly.
Under item 6.
Yep.
Okay. So Councillor Sturgeon is going to speak to us on some correspondence that he received, and that will be under item 6. So, the next order of, operation here is the approval of the minutes. Section 4.1, we're approving the regular council meeting of June the 2nd, 2026. Council, you've had those minutes. Do we have a motion to adopt those? Moved by Councillor Underhill, seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. All those in favor? Aye. Passed. The second minutes that we're going to approve tonight is, section 4.2. It's a special meeting, council, meeting that was held on June the 16th. We've also had those minutes. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Moved by Councillor Buggy, seconded by Councillor Holohan. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion passed. At this point in time, I would ask the council, having seen the agenda, if there is anyone that has anything on the agenda that they would like to declare a conflict of interest on. Councillor Buggy?
7.3, this is Peggy Brophy is presenting, she's my mother-in-law, so I'll step out, bring that.
Okay, so, sorry. It's too early today.
Yeah, never too early, Debbie.
Section 7.3, Councillor Buggy has declared a conflict of interest there. Councillor Sturgeon, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, under 7.2, the presentation from Jayde Beaudet, depending on the substance of that presentation, if there's anything related to fire department administration at that level,
Okay.
I'll remove myself from that,
Okay.
being Deputy Chief here in Blackpool.
Absolutely. So, Councillor Sturgeon has declared 7.2 as a possible conflict of interest, and, when it comes time for our presentations, I'll ask for clarification on what the subject matter is. Anybody else in conflict? So I'd also like to point out that if we start getting into business and somebody says, oh, didn't know that's what we're gonna talk about, certainly just put up your hand and say, I'm declaring a conflict of interest and I'm going to leave the room. So, moving right along. Presentations, our first presentation tonight is, correspondence. Nope. Blind one, I can't see it again, sorry about that. Number 6, correspondence, and, Councillor Sturgeon does have some correspondence he would like to address with.
So, a few of us have been contacted, by the head of the Millerton Recreation Council, Willard Jardine. Willard provided, Tyson with, quote, a couple copies of the quote, that would be to clear some space around the area of Millerton School, to be used potentially for a walking trail. So, I have that quote, want to submit it for consideration. I know there's some other things that we need to consider before we can obviously move forward with anything there in terms of a partnership with Millerton and the school district. But I want to submit that just for our consideration when the time comes to have that discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Sturgeon.
And everybody should have a copy of it as well.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, would you like this one? And it's in our package. So in our package is Councillor Sturgeon's presentation. Any further correspondence? Okay. Now we're gonna move to number 7. So, presentations. Anybody who is a taxpayer in this municipality is entitled to contact the office. I believe it's 7 days prior to the meeting. Is it, Madam Clerk? Okay. So 7 days prior to our meeting, should you choose to speak to council, you would call one of these 2 ladies at the office out there and tell them what you would like to speak about, and they will put you on the agenda. When we put you on the agenda, there's some certain guidelines. You're asked to bring or to submit to them, what it is that you're going to speak to us about. Okay, so that's the first requirement. The second requirement is you only get 10 minutes to speak. Now, I'm going to speak to an exception to that, and, at our June 16th meeting, I believe we had a presentation from some of the residents who live in Millerton, and they had an extended period of time to 20 minutes to speak because there were multiple people making presentations. So tonight, when Harvest House speaks, they will be granted 20 minutes equal time to speak, so that both presentations, are given the same respect. Now, at the 18-minute mark in this instance, because it's 20, and I believe Councillor Buggy, you are timing it, we will, notify the speaker that you have 2 minutes left. When those 2 minutes expire, you're done speaking, and, should you think that you have not gotten your point across, if there's a different subject matter that you would like to speak to, then you call these two fine ladies again and get yourself on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay? So everybody's clear on how that works? Just one moment. Then the next one is people, after that, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you will have 10 minutes because you are one speaker. At the 8-minute mark, you will be notified. At the 10-minute mark, you'll get the same message. If you don't have your message delivered, please contact these fine ladies. You go back and see us at the next meeting. Clarification?
Yes, you stated that if you were a taxpayer from this entity, that you could talk. If you're not from this entity, say you're from outside, say Moncton or St. John, are you still going to be given the 20 minutes to talk?
In this case, I believe council, the answer would be yes, and I will see you for direction. Yes. So
anybody can talk from the province.
yep, if you want to, but it has to have something to do with here in our municipality. Honest, we don't want you to come and talk to us about the removal of the Max Black Dam or something.
No. Okay, I just want clarification. You said you had to be a taxpayer.
I said I'd make mistakes too, dear.
Yeah.
So for clarification, that's a good one. Thank you very much, Mr. Bateman. Without further ado, who is speaking for Harvest House Miramichi?
I am.
Okay, and your name, sir?
John McCann.
John McCann, here's your podium.
Thank you.
And Councillor Buggy, you're going to report, right, for count?
Good evening, Mayor Norton, members of council, and members of the public. Thank you for giving Harvest House Miramichi the opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding our property at 5078 Highway 108 in Millerton, and our plans to establish a sober living home there. Before I begin, I would like to offer a sincere public apology to Mayor Norton for comments I made during a telephone conversation after learning that the community group opposed to our proposal would be presenting to council before Harvest House had the opportunity to do so. My frustration got the better of me, and my comments were inappropriate. I apologize to you, Mayor Norton, and to council. Tonight, we are here because we believe everyone deserves to understand who we are, what we hope to accomplish, and why we believe this project will benefit not only those seeking recovery, but our entire region. Harvest House Miramichi was founded in October 2020 as a Christ-centered charitable organization dedicated to helping individuals overcome addiction and substance use disorders. Our mission is simple: to provide hope, healing, and practical support for individuals seeking freedom from addiction through faith, accountability, community, and compassionate care. While our Christian faith is the foundation of everything we do, our commitment is equally grounded in serving people with dignity, respect, and responsibility. Our board includes healthcare professionals, individuals with lived experience in recovery, community leaders, and people who have dedicated countless hours to helping others rebuild their lives. Several members of our board are themselves living proof that recovery is possible. They are now productive members of society, employed, serving others, and giving back to their communities. Their lives demonstrate that people can and do recover when they are provided with the right support. The board members are myself, John McCann, board, Michelle Conroy, Barclay Crozier, Amy Belanger, Scott LeBreton, and Natalie Thibault Rector. Why a sober living home? Recovery does not end when someone leaves detox or completes treatment. In many cases, that is when recovery truly begins. Across New Brunswick, individuals often complete detoxification or residential treatment only to discover there are few safe places where they can continue rebuilding their lives. Many return to the same environments, the same influences, and the same circumstances that contributed to their addiction in the first place. Unfortunately, this greatly increases the risk of relapse. A sober living home bridges that gap. It provides residents with a structured, substance-free environment where they continue developing healthy routines, rebuilding relationships, seeking employment, attending counseling or recovery meetings, strengthening their faith, and preparing to live independently. It is not an emergency shelter. It is not a detox center. It is not a correctional facility. It is a home for individuals who have already committed themselves to recovery and who are prepared to follow clear rules and expectations. Why Millerton? We carefully searched for a property that would provide a peaceful, stable environment where people could focus on healing. When we found the property in Millerton, we believed it offered exactly that. Its quiet surroundings, natural setting, and welcoming atmosphere made it an ideal location for recovery. We did not purchase this property. We did not purchase this property to bring problems into Millerton. We purchased it because we believed Millerton represented the type of safe, caring community that encourages people to succeed. Since purchasing the property, many residents have expressed concerns. We have listened. As parents, grandparents, neighbors, and community members ourselves, we understand why people want to protect the place they call home. We share that goal. Our purpose has never been to place anyone at risk. Our purpose is to reduce risk by helping people maintain recovery before they return to independent living. Fear often comes from uncertainty. That is why we welcome opportunities like tonight to explain how the program will actually operate. How the home will operate. Residents will not simply move into the house without preparation. Every applicant will complete an intake process designed to determine whether they are genuinely committed to recovery and capable of living within a structured community. Residents will be expected to maintain complete abstinence from alcohol and illegal drugs. They will be required to follow house rules, participate in recovery programming, respect staff, respect one another, and respect the surrounding community. Anyone unwilling to comply with those expectations will not be permitted to remain in the program. Our goal is accountability. Our goal is stability. Our goal is successful recovery. We are committed to maintaining the property to a high standard and ensuring it remains a positive addition to the community. Over the past several months, we have heard many concerns from members of the community. I would like to address several of them directly. Community safety. One concern is that a sober living home will make Millerton less safe. Our experience, And the experience of similar organizations across New Brunswick is exactly the opposite. People living in sober housing are individuals actively working to stay sober. They have chosen recovery. They are participating in programming designed to help them become healthy, productive citizens. Stable housing is one of the strongest predictors of long-term recovery. Helping people remain in recovery reduces, not increases, the likelihood of future crises. Crime. Some have expressed concern that drug dealers or criminal activity will follow the residents. The reality is that individuals entering a sober living home are working to leave that lifestyle behind. They are choosing accountability, not addiction. Our program is designed specifically to support the commitment through supervision, structure, and clear expectations. Property values. Another concern has been that neighboring property values will decline. Evidence from professionally managed supportive and recovery housing has consistently shown that well-managed housing does not reduce property values and often contributes positively to neighborhood stability because the homes are maintained and residents are held accountable. We fully intend to be responsible neighbors. Our commitment to Millerton. If Harvest House is welcome into this community, we commit ourselves to being transparent and accountable. If neighbors have concerns, we want to hear them. If issues arise, we will respond promptly. We believe trust is built through communication, respect, and consistent actions. We are not asking the community to lower its expectations. We are committing ourselves to meeting them. Why this matters. Every person who enters our home is someone's son or daughter. Many are someone's parent. Many once had careers, families, dreams, and hopes that addiction slowly took away. They are not strangers. They are members of our communities. Recovery gives people the opportunity to reclaim their lives. When someone recovers, families heal. Children regain parents, parents regain children, communities become stronger. As Christians, we believe every human being possesses inherent worth and dignity because every person is created in the image of God. Jesus spent much of his ministry reaching out to people whom society had given up on. He offered hope where others saw hopelessness, compassion where others saw failure, restoration where others saw brokenness. That example continues to inspire Harvest House today. We recognize that not everyone shares our faith, but we hope everyone can appreciate our desire to help people become healthy, responsible, contributing members of society. We respectfully ask Council to consider our proposal not through the lens of fear, but through the lens of hope, evidence, compassion, and community responsibility. Together, we have an opportunity to help people rebuild their lives while strengthening the communities we all care about. I'd just like to close with my Bible verse for the day. Jesus looked at them and said, "With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible." Matthew 19:26. So, I'd now like to call up, who's coming first? Barclay? I'd like to call up Barclay here to share with you his experience and testimony of what Christ has done for him and his recovery.
Dr. John, I'll be fast and keep it short. Back between 2005 and 2016, I had a great career. I was earning about $68,000 a year, and I owned a home. Everything was great. I was looking at a trip. Everything was good. With my wife, we owned our house. We had a mortgage, whatever. But in 2016, I was falsely arrested in New Jersey with Epsom salt in a Ziploc bag that I was using to clear an infected fingernail. I lost my career. And, fear set in. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, I was a bit of a drug dealer then, so I had some experience. And fear set in. I didn't know how I was gonna pay the bills, so I fell back into drug dealing. Different world now, meth and opiates, and I eventually got heavily addicted, became a junkie. And a true junkie. I was down to 120 pounds, my eyes were black, my arms were wrecked. And basically, after a few years of that, I hit rock bottom on the slippery slope, and didn't know what I was gonna do, and my wife, you know, she wasn't gonna stay with me any longer. She left for a couple hours, heard Jesus say in her voice, you know, you gotta go back, honey, and she came back, and I basically had a bit of a breakdown there and said, you know, I need help, I gotta get some help. So she said, I have a prayer for this, and I got born again. She'd already been going to church a little bit, I started going to church. It wasn't instant that I got fixed up, I was still getting high on that, but had nothing to do any dealing with anymore. The money was gone, I racked up 50 grand in debt, plus our mortgage, no car, no hope really, even my bicycle got stolen. But through Romans 12, 1 and 2, the two-step program, I basically just started to get into the gospel hardcore, realized I could get set free through the gospel, which is a lot different than quitting drugs, right? So as I progressed in the gospel, we had to sell our house. They were going to foreclose. We put our house on the market, and after 2.5 months, we had 0 interest. With 2 weeks before, Claudia was going to her sister's, and I was going to be homeless. Who knows what with the debt. One buyer came along, and he gave us enough money to purchase a van, a minivan for $4,000. We had enough money to pay off all of the consumer debt that I'd racked up, pay off the mortgage on that house, and have enough cash left over to buy the house we live in now, and actually have no mortgage. Now, prior to that, as we were going through the process of the renewing of our minds, Claudia would be stomping around the house declaring, we have a paid-for house, we have a, you know, calling those things that be not as though they were, we have a paid-for car, paid-for house, we have full-time jobs, we bought our house, sight unseen, didn't have a way to go look at it, we just drove up to it, walked in. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I had a job. Got promoted beyond that to another job and then another job, doing things unto the Lord and not as unto men. With the good heart, you receive the reward of the inheritance. So with that, my latest job I've been at 4.5 years. I have received 3 awards out of the 4 years, placing top 3% for a major company, being top 3% globally. I continue to renew my mind and go to church, all that stuff, the gospel, and putting it in my life. So I got 1 award in Amsterdam, 1 award in Budapest, and 1 in London. Continue to have success with the company I'm at, beyond anything I could ask or think, beyond anything I could do on my own without Jesus, but we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And I got my marriage restored, I got my health restored, I got my weight back, my face back, my arms back, everything's back. I got my wife, got everything I need, got a bigger house with a bigger property than I had ever in my life. And I just appreciate y'all listening to me, and thank you for letting me speak today. It's a real honor for me to be able to share this with you, because I wanted to give you a glimpse into what can happen through the gospel and attaining your freedom through the gospel. And it's endless, and it's so good, and God is good. So I appreciate y'all listening to me today and hearing what happens when people are recovered through the gospel as opposed to just quitting drugs and getting back on the street. So thank you for the time today. And this is Scott Bratton. He's going to speak a little bit to you as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. As far as my name is Scott Bratton. I'm from Miramichi myself. I've battled addiction for about 25 years, 30 years of my life. I had hit the rock bottom about 4 years ago. I was working at Arbeck, and I was a functional alcoholic and functional addict until I wasn't anymore. Once I hit the rock bottom, I ended up at the psych ward. I was in there for about 6 days, 7 days. It was hearing voices, and life was just not manageable anymore. So So I ended up going to a program outside of Fredericton, because there's one in Miramichi, in north of the province, called Village of Hope. It was a 10-month program. I went there, and that's where I encountered Christ, and God changed my life. After the 10 months program, I stayed there for several months, staying as a servant leadership training, and I was in Saskatchewan in the program over there as well, until my father had 2 aneurysms and his heart let go. And it was like 1 chance in a million that he was going to survive that aneurysm. I ended up coming home, and I was able to spend time, 2 months with him, and was able to minister to him, and he was able to see his son sober for the first time in 25 years. With that said, I went back home to my mom. Alcohol's legal, cigarettes legal, marijuana's legal. I was fortunate that I had my mom to go home to, but having that kind of temptations in front of me is very difficult. So I had Vertical Harvest House. There's no place in Miramichi or in this area that we can go to as people that are trying to stay sober. I work with Jeremy's Mission. I volunteer with them, and I see the addictions rate straight up every day. Help them go to programs like Chicago and Village of Hope themselves. And when they come back to Miramichi, they're right back in their same playground playmates. They're back right into your addictions. So without a place for them, a sober living place to go to, they're right back into it. And last summer, I personally lost, 5, 6 people in Miramichi, because there's no place to go to. They have only downtown, and they have nowhere to live sober. And it's devastating. It's devastating to be in the front line seeing it every day. Personally, I'm going to school right now. I'm going to college. I'm rebuilding my life. I got married last month, my beautiful wife. Life has been just marvelous ever since I gave my heart to God. And I have nothing, yeah, that's it. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks,
God bless.
You good, Mr. White?
30 seconds.
30 seconds to spare.
Okay.
Thank you, Harvest House Miramichi, for your presentation. The next person on our list to hear from tonight is Jayde Beaudet. So, Jayde, 10 minutes. Councillor Buggy will tell you what age. Okay?
Did you want to ask me? He declared a conflict.
Oh, yes. Yes. So, do you want to?
I don't think we need to declare one, but I mean, I don't make that decision. I am going to speak about the fire department, and I am going to speak about the arbitration process. So that's up to him.
Okay. So, Councillor Sturgeon, please make it noted that Councillor Sturgeon has declared a conflict of interest and has left the room. Your time begins.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'll preface this with the fact that I recognize that none of the members of this council were part of the council that fired Dean Allison and I, nor were you part of the council that appeared before the arbitrators or the court. I am not here to ask you to defend the decisions you did not make. I am here because you have a responsibility that no previous council has fulfilled. You have inherited a responsibility of ensuring this municipality respects the rule of law, implement independent decisions, and restore public confidence where it has been lost. This presentation is about accountability and governance. It is about whether this municipality holds itself to the same standards expected of everyone else. Dean Allison and I dedicated more than 45 years of combined volunteer service to the Sunny Corner Fire Department. Neither of us have ever been disciplined before we were wrongfully fired in 2024. We did not begin this process looking for lawyers, arbitrators, or judges. We began by doing exactly what firefighters are expected to do. When we believed there were issues affecting firefighter safety, public safety, operational readiness, training, governance, and liability, we raised those concerns. We raised them through the chain of command. That point is important because the municipality has repeatedly suggested otherwise. I ask that you compare the municipality's allegations with the documentary record. Our concerns were first raised internally. They were discussed with our captain. He elevated them in an officers' meeting. They were then brought forward to the fire chief. On December the 12th, 2024, Chief Mike Jardine wrote to me, and I quote, There will be a departmental meeting after Christmas with our Director of Fire Services and possibly other council members to address these concerns. You can contact Blackwell office directly to speak with Dwayne or any other member of council if you feel that timeline is insufficient, end quote. He copied council on that email. That was not my decision, and that was not Dean's. That was the chief's decision. The fire chief, not us, expanded the discussion beyond the fire department. The arbitrator later confirmed exactly that. He found, and I quote, she addressed her concerns with the chief of the department, Mike Jardine, who elevated the matter to council, including its mayor, in an email on December 12th. Mayor Kevin Russell began corresponding directly with Mrs. Beaudet as of that date, end quote. So you can ask yourselves a simple question. Who took these concerns outside the fire department? It was not Dean Allison, and it was not me. The chief did that. He took them to Kevin Russell. We remained entirely within the department's own chain of command. We did not seek outside intervention, not while an internal process remained available. Only after we were wrongfully terminated did we use external avenues. Despite this, our termination letter stated that we were dismissed for, and I quote, not following the chain of command with your complaints, passing your lieutenant, captain, deputy chief, and not waiting for answers from your chief, and going to the Miramichi River Valley Mayor and Council, end quote. Those words matter because they became the public narrative attached to our name. People believed them and they damaged our reputation, yet the independent evidence does not support them. The arbitrator found that Dean and I quote, acted in accordance with the act. They raised safety-related issues repeatedly and they were dismissed, end quote. That finding directly contradicts one of the principal reasons given for our dismissal. The termination letters also accused us, and I quote, continued harassment of a councillor, Jeff Staci, and Fire Chief Mike Jardine, leading to their resignation, end quote. Again, the arbitrator considered that allegation after hearing all of the evidence, and he found, and I quote, I find there's no evidence the complainants engaged in continued harassment of the councillor or the fire chief leading to their resignation. He went further. He wrote, regarding my communication, he found, and I quote, she remained respectful in all of her communications, end quote. Regarding Dean Allison, and I quote, the same can be said about Mr. Allison's tone in his communications, also very respectful, end quote. Those are not our words. Those are findings of an independent arbitrator appointed to hear all of the evidence presented by both sides. So today I ask you to compare the documents, because they tell two very different stories. One says we ignored the chain of command. The other says we first raised our concerns with the captain, and then the fire chief, who himself elevated them to council. One says we harassed a councillor and a fire chief. The other says there's no evidence that we did that. One portrays us as creating a toxic environment. The other describes us as respectful. Those findings matter because they do more than restore our reputations. They raise a much larger question. If the municipality's allegations cannot be reconciled with the findings of an independent arbitrator, who failed to follow the rules? The dismissal itself is no longer the central issue. We have been lawfully reinstated. The central issue is what happened after the independent decision maker spoke. The arbitrator heard the evidence. The municipality was represented by legal counsel Dan Jardine. Senior municipal officials testified, including the Director of Fire Services at the time Dwayne Hallahan. After hearing that evidence, the arbitrator found that Dean and I had repeatedly raised safety concerns in accordance with the Occupational Health and Safety Act, and that our dismissals constituted discriminatory action under that act. Those decisions were later upheld in judgments issued by the Court of King's Bench against this municipality. At that point, one would expect the matter to be over. Oh, but it was not. Dean and I represented ourselves through the arbitration. We did not hire lawyers to prove our case because the documents proved the case. Every legal dollar we have spent has been only after we were forced to pursue implementation of the decisions that had already been made. Reinstatement restored our names to a roster, but it did not restore our reputation. There has never been a public acknowledgement that the allegations contained in the termination letters were not supported by the evidence accepted by the arbitrator. There has never been a public correction of the record. There has never been a public apology. Instead, the narrative created by the dismissal was allowed to continue, and that matters. Because reputations are not restored simply because a name is added back to a list. There is another fact that remains consistent throughout this matter. Councils changed, but the municipality's legal obligations did not. Before the arbitration, during the arbitration, and after the arbitration, the municipality had legal obligations. Those obligations did not end with reinstatement. They included implementing the arbitrator's decision in both letter and in spirit. They included restoring confidence in the municipality's governance In my respectful submissions, that has never happened. Workstation New Brunswick attended the fire department on multiple occasions. The inspection report identified numerous deficiencies requiring corrective action. The arbitrator also noted these findings in his decision. Many of those deficiencies reflected the very concerns Ian and I raised before we were on committee now. We were not punished because our concerns lacked merit. We were punished because we raised them. The pattern did not stop there. Following reinstatement, we continued to attempt to resolve the matters internally. We continued requesting information and records, and continuing asking the municipality to comply with its legal obligations. Instead of receiving those records, I found myself before yet another independent authority, the Office of the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman has now found the municipality to comply with its obligations under that act, and has ordered the municipality to produce records. Once again, compliance did not occur voluntarily. Once again, an independent body had to intervene. This is why I respectfully say that the issue before you today is no longer simply the dismissal. It is what happened after. It is the pattern. Dean and I were repeatedly criticized for taking concerns outside the organization, but the documentary record shows that we did not do that. We exhausted every internal process available. Only after we were fired did we go to the arbitrator. Only after the municipality defended those dismissals did we go to court. Only after workplace concerns remained unresolved did Workstation New Brunswick intervene, and only after records continued to be withheld did the Ombudsman intervene. Those were not our first choices, but they became our only choices, and that distinction matters. Because throughout this process, the municipality repeatedly suggested that Dean and I failed to follow process. The documentary records show something quite different. Every time one process concluded, another one became necessary, not because we were unwilling to accept the outcome, but because the municipality had still not brought these matters to a lawful conclusion. This is why I continue to have active proceedings with this municipality. They will be decided where they belong, in a courtroom. I raise them because they demonstrate my central concerns. This is not a matter that ended with reinstatement and later restarted. It's a matter that the retaliation never truly ended. The issue changed, the decision makers changed, but the pattern remains. Independent bodies have repeatedly been required to intervene where internal processes have failed. And I ask you to consider what that means. An arbitrator, the Court of King's Bench, Workstation New Brunswick, the Ombudsman, these are not social media opinions and they are not rumors. They are independent institutions created to oversee compliance with the law. Every time one has become involved, public confidence has been diminished a little further. And every time the cost has been borne by not just Dean and I, but by taxpayers of this municipality. I'm not asking you to relitigate what has already been decided. I'm asking you to ensure these decisions are respected, because respect for the rule of law does not end when a decision is issued. It requires faithful implementation afterwards, and that responsibility belongs to this municipality. I recognize that none of you made the decisions that brought Dean and I here today, but you are responsible for deciding what happens next. You are the governing body of this municipality. You are responsible for ensuring that the municipality complies with the law, respects independent decisions, and maintains public confidence. And this is what I'm asking you to act on, not because you created the situation, but now because you have the opportunity to resolve it.
Thank you, Ms. Beaudet. Our next speaker tonight is, 7-3, Peggy Brophy.
I'll introduce myself and I'll get Mr. Sturgeon.
Okay.
You want to keep time, Mr. Sturgeon?
My name is Peggy Brophy. I'm a resident of this municipality. I lived in this municipality for 82 years. I was born here. I was raised here in the same house. My kids were raised here. Some of my grandkids were raised in the same house. So it's been in my possession for 82 years. Before that, it was my parents. Before that, it was my grandparents. So it's a house that means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Now, standing here right now is the hardest thing that I've ever done in my 82 years. I am not confrontational. If anybody knows me, they know that I would shy away from conflict of any kind, shape, or form. I just don't do that. It's not in my makeup. Now, I'm talking about a piece of municipal land that was meant for the village of Blackville. There is evidence that it was to never be sold or given away. Now, last year, to let you know just how I found out about this, I was taking my great-grandchild for a little walk up Prince Lane, which is adjacent to this piece of property that I'm talking about. There was a man there working on a building. The building was on this municipal land. And I stopped to talk to him. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I have to move this building because it now belongs to a private resident of the community." And I found out at that point in time that he already, for about a year, had the deed in his name. Now, this was land that was not supposed to be given away. There are, in fact, I can remember my grandfather, when I was only 6 years old, getting a big table saw. Any of you are older people, you know that years ago there were big table saws that you had to put logs through to cut for your firewood. He would put that across the lane, which is Quinn Lane, which was our property. He put that across because he told me as a 6-year-old, I have to stop this, or I have to close this lane off from the public for 1 day a year in order to keep ownership of it. That's what he did. A few years later, my father still did the same thing. And then the village of Blackville wanted to use that. Now, we had no complaints at all about anybody using the lane. No complaints, any more than we had complaints about people asking for a permission to put a snowmobile trail up to our property. Fine, go ahead, do it, it's not going to hurt anybody. As far as people across the river, some of the roadway was washing out. They came to me and asked me to sign papers that they could move the road over so that it would be safer to drive on and the washed out river part wouldn't affect it. We signed it. There was no problem with that. We signed easements for them to run sewer lines up to our property. We had no problem with that. But when they take this property from us, property that wasn't supposed to be given away, there, if you did a record check, you would see. And besides that, it was taken improperly. Nobody was notified that the property was going. This private individual who, I guess, wanted to do something with the property for financial gain or for a benefit of something or other, I don't know what it was really. But he had had the property for a year before we even really knew it. And this is property that wasn't supposed to be given away. It was supposed to remain in village property at that time, municipality property now. It's gone. Apparently they're going to build a 76-foot trailer that's about 16 feet wide and put 3 apartments in it, in a piece of land that's not. Who's going to want to move there? What do they want it for? I don't know. There was a letter given to my father back in the 70s that said the village wanted to use the lane for village purposes, for people to walk back and forth on. But they wanted to fix up this lane a bit so that people would be safer walking on it. And we said, go ahead, if you want to gravel the lane, that's fine. And in that letter that was signed by a former mayor and clerk, it said that the work on the lane would no longer, or would not affect the ownership of the lane. It would still be Wynn's property. Now, a survey was done not too long ago, and the survey takes in the lane. The lane is no longer municipal property. The lane belongs to a private individual. I can't read anymore. I have copies here that you people can have for you. I just can't read anymore. I'm too burdened, too upset.
Thank you, Ms. Brophy. Yes, please. Okay, Councillor Sturgeon is retrieving our other councillor, Councillor Buggy, when they get back. Our next speaker of the evening is Ms. Staci Gillespie. So, come on up, Staci, and let's wait until the gentlemen get in their seats, and then I'll ask you to start. Councillor Buggy, we'll put you back on the timer.
Thank you. Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My topic goes along the same line as Mrs. Brophy does. And I believe the question before us is not simply about a land transfer. It's about whether people who spent a lifetime building this community still have a place in it. Across New Brunswick, municipalities are actively encouraging affordable housing through land transfers, tax incentives, infrastructure, and other measures, because government recognizes that affordable housing is desperately needed. Rural New Brunswick has one of the highest proportions of seniors in the province. And in our area in particular, about 26% of the population is considered a senior. And of those seniors, 8.2% are living below the poverty line. And I think that's what makes affordable housing front and center for all levels of government. Tonight, I hope to provide some context regarding municipal property that was transferred to David Donahue for the purpose of developing affordable housing, because much of the discussion has focused on allegations, while very little attention has been given to the broader context. David approached the former mayor and asked for a tax break. Other municipalities, such as Miramichi, were doing the same thing for developers. In lieu of a tax break, the former mayor offered a piece of municipal land that was available for development. So, when this decision was made by the former mayor and council, and I recognize that, you know, we have new council present, I think it's important to remember that it was municipal property that was offered. David did not award himself the property. That was a decision made by the former mayor and council. Whether people agree with the decision or not, it was made by the duly elected governing body of the municipality. And the fact remains that the council had the authority to negotiate directly with a developer when it serves the best interest of the public. That land has been vacant for as long as I can remember, and whatever stipulations that maybe were present years ago had not surfaced with this land. Being in an ideal location, especially for seniors, the property has easy access to amenities, and it was designated for the development of affordable housing. So more questions were raised because David's sister, my mother, served on council. However, she was out of the country when this decision and, voting took place. I understand that residents, neighbors are concerned about what was being done, what was being developed. However, what followed went beyond expressing disagreement. I was not prepared for the malicious, vindictive behaviors that followed, and I cannot fathom that a piece of land could cause so much upheaval. Repeated allegations were made involving conflicts of interest, legal wrongdoing, threats of legal action against the remaining council members. The former council and David became the focus of ongoing speculation about how municipal decisions were made by elected officials. Ironically, during one of the first public meetings, it was suggested that the matter remain within the council chamber and not affect relations within the community. Unfortunately, this is not what happened. As the situation escalated, David concluded that the project was no longer worth the ongoing conflict. In September of 2025, he wrote to the CAO stating that he was prepared to return the property to the municipality if those involved would agree to end the ongoing dispute and allow council and municipal staff to move forward. He requested some sort of sworn affidavit confirming that commitment. His email was acknowledged. He didn't seek legal counsel, but left it in the hands of the mayor and council to decide how to proceed. Subsequently, correspondence was prepared by the municipality's legal counsel and was provided to David and the other parties at the same time outlining those discussions. Some recipients rejected the proposal describing it as an infringement on their rights, calling it a gag order, which is certainly was not a gag order. And no agreement was reached. And as a result, David retained ownership of the property. Shortly afterwards, council dissolved due to lack of quorum. And because I was personally connected to those involved, I witnessed firsthand the toll that it took, specifically on my mother, and reviewing and reflecting on the council meetings, the last few meetings before the council was dissolved. It was filled with conflict and hostility and accusations. And as I stand here today, I genuinely believe that the former council acted with the best of intentions to serve the municipality. Even if others disagree with that, that's a position that I stand with. So most recently, there has been a petition that has been circulating to gather signatures into the previous council, finances, how things were done, I'm not sure. But knowing who David is and who my mother is, it's very difficult to watch your loved one's reputation be questioned and their credibility undermined. In 2024, the independent audit report that's posted on the municipal website by KPMG Chartered Professional Accountants resulted in a clean audit opinion. So I don't know if further municipal expenses are warranted for that. May 18th is an important date. When David was approached by several neighbors, community members that were unhappy when he started to do some work. And on June 8th, David was asked to meet with the mayor, at least one councillor, and several community members at the property. Because of the late notice, he was unable to attend, but the visit proceeded anyway. Hopefully, mayor and council can provide some context regarding the purpose of this visit. I ask council to consider another perspective. David spent a lifetime investing in this community. He's operated successful businesses, he's helped out families, he was the local plumber. And if this council believes that the former council exercised poor judgment, that's a policy decision. However, it's not reasonable for one developer to bear the burden of defending a municipal decision for years while elected officials who made that decision largely remain silent. I would encourage council to review all municipal matters and ensure they are approached consistently and objectively. My ask to council is simple. Please evaluate this matter based on facts rather than assumptions, on evidence and policy rather than personality. Knowing a significant amount of the budget was spent last year on legal fees compared to previous years, will taxpayers fund an investigation hoping to have this decision overturned, or will you support affordable housing? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gillespie. Our next speaker of the evening is Leigh Bursey.
Good evening, friends. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. I'm a municipal councillor in Ontario, and it's always an enjoyable experience to come back into these spaces and see how procedural bylaws are done differently and different organizations operate. Today, I'm not coming to you as from a former role where I was a housing initiatives manager with the Local Service Commission. I'm not coming to you with any professional role. I should probably illustrate I'm an internationally chartered housing professional through the International Housing Charter, as well as a member of the Canadian Housing Renewal Association Board of Directors. However, I'm coming to you today as a taxpayer, and coming to you today as a law survivor. And I'm coming very much in favor of you having a very fair look at the Harvest House application, and looking at not just some of the detractions, but also many of the merits that exist for these type of programs to exist in communities this size as well. And it's very much fitting that we have such a robust room of citizens who are exercising their rights, as taxpayers to share their opinions. I would ask in case that this could become very emotional for me in the next few moments, and as neighbors and friends who all reside in this space, someone who also pays my municipal taxes, loves my home, loves my community, and would love to see it thrive and succeed for others who have struggled, I would really encourage that I beg your indulgence.
Excuse me, can I interrupt you for one moment? Is this regarding your support of Harvest House?
Yes.
We've had 20 minutes set aside for Harvest House, and we've only had 20 minutes for the group in Millerton before regarding Harvest House, so this would give them another 10 minutes of 10 minutes more than what the group had before. Yeah, it was 20 minutes is what they had. Right, sorry.
Councillor,
No, I was just asking if that included all the speakers.
That's what I'm going by. The total speakers from the group from Millerton spoke was 20 minutes.
he's not a member.
I'm not.
No, but he's speaking in favor of Harvest House, that's all. That would be no different than any other community member speaking now. I don't know, I'm just posing that question.
So certainly, and this is just my perspective, Lee, I would like to hear what you have to say, but Rodney raised a very good point, and I'm going to ask council for direction here, but maybe you could ask to speak at the next meeting and we could agree.
I gave more than appropriate notice to speak at today's meeting as a taxpayer. I am not here representing this organization or any other organization. I am an independent taxpayer.
in our municipality?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Let us have the conversation too. So, all right. I know there's not a lot of you here, but I'm going to ask you to leave for a moment, and, council is going to make a decision what to do.
Might be easier if we left.
Oh, Mr. Boyd, that's how you're the principal. That's why you're the principal. Let's go to the officer. Well, anyway, I've said repeatedly, we've got this wonderful council, and in this case, the point that I'm going to bring that point forward on is we have young people, we've got older people like me. The young people sometimes remember more, and so when we adjourned, it was brought to my attention that, at our previous meeting on June 16th, the community members, you had your 3 speakers and you spoke for your 20 minutes, and then, Chris Clark and Gary came up and said a few more words. So in light of that, we are going to extend you 7 additional minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So your minute and 26 seconds in, sir.
Starting now?
Yep.
Starting now, 7 minutes.
So, past all of the reprise, I will say again, thank you for the opportunity, I do appreciate it, and I do beg your indulgence. And the reason why I say so is because, coming from the housing and homelessness world, I can definitely appreciate the community safety element of these conversations. I can appreciate that people are concerned about what happens. I've seen that in every other community that I've ever worked with. For context, I was once in an Ottawa youth shelter where there were 12 strains of fentanyl. 12. It would not be uncommon for knife fights, et cetera, et cetera. This is not what's being proposed in this space. And I think it's important that we delineate the differences in these, what's expected, but also what steps you have as citizenry to make sure that certain checks and balances are in place. I'll give you an example about a different program, again, a separate program from what's being proposed, but does share certain similarities. Again, I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I know that the Elizabeth Fry Society has a tremendous program in Napa that I think is worth looking at in terms of the great work that they've done. And I think that it's important that they know that when they were first taking over their program, which was for people who had previous justice involvement, had very little to do with recovery from substance use disorder. Justice involvement can come from a variety of different means and different reasons. There's definitely dovetailing and overlap. One could safely assume that substance abuse disorder may have played a role in someone's justice involvement and or trafficking at different points may have as well. But you can also appreciate some people thought that Carla Homolka was moving across the street. You can appreciate that some people had the worst possible idea of what that program could look like and what it would bring to their community. So far, it's been remarkably successful. Private investment of nearly $2 million to plant, buy, furnish, set up, hire, run wages for the first 2 years, cover tuition for 1 to 2 trade programs, minimum 12 educational opportunities per year, increase the post-secondary educational opportunities by partnering with services already established. They employ 6 full-time, 6 part-time, and 5 casual. That's 17 employment opportunities in a small place like Napa. Community clients have been brought on, supported by staff via food assistance, opportunity for education. The program has received food security assistance beyond its residence capacity, which has been shared into outreach volunteer organizations. The mutual support network is critical but incomplete as there are more people in need, varying levels of support than there are supports to match. Now this program is different because this is specifically for people who've had previous justice involvement. There is an educational component, etc. But when parlayed, the argument that existed when this was moving in is that it was going to impact community safety and have a detrimental impact on the community. When in fact, what it's done has centralized any opportunities where supports could be deviated. One of the most thoughtful signs I saw amongst the multitude out here tonight was about how emergency services might not be able to afford additional calls. The reality is, when you create spaces where people are able to access services at campus, that actually eliminates many of the calls that are needed when you have people who are fragmented in different places within your community. Another piece I think is worth noting, and this is where it gets emotional for me, and I apologize. It's the idea that everyone is coming from outside of the community. This part frustrates me to no end. And the reason why I say that is not only can I share a personal anecdote, which I plan to, but Adele, thank you very much. But aside from that, it's worth noting that ultimately we can look at town folio that exists for this community and recognize we are a shrinking municipality with less available bedrooms than ever before. Further to that, I live across from a notorious house that has a very much a community reputation, in which many of the issues that you're worried about when it comes to public safety have already existed upon within this community with no supports available to the community to provide. On May 16th, my fiance passed away of an accidental overdose. She was in Gatineau, Quebec. She is a former resident of Blackville, New Brunswick. Reading the vitriolic comments that I saw posted below some of the community correspondence on social media pages and news alerts was alarming to me for a place that has a reputation as one of the kindest places in Canada. I am a taxpayer. My partner was bilingual. She played 7 instruments. She taught children how to play music. She was 1 semester from a nursing degree and the toughest person I had ever met in my life. She was beautiful and she was spectacular. And I could not find local support for her here. And what happened was she was able to go through an effective recovery program, but she didn't have an effective sober house to go to after. And she relapsed and fell into familiar places with familiar circumstances, with familiar black holes that eventually swallowed the person I was supposed to marry this month. She lived in Blackville. She was a resident who added immensely to this community and had tremendous potential that she could not recognize because I could not save her. And I wanted to, and I couldn't. This week, I'm hosting an event at the New Maritime Beer Company Friday night, celebrating her honor and raising money for organizations like Elizabeth Fromm. And I'd love to see you there, and I'll make sure that this poster is passed on to all of you. And thank you in advance if you choose to come, and if not, at least spread the word. But the thing that I have to separate as I'm finishing this comment, this is the last piece, it comes as simple as this. You close your eyes and you have a stereotype of who it is that you're serving. But they're your brothers and your sisters and they're your children. They're the people who keep these communities in place. There were people who protested a prison opening there once too. Now, sometimes the number of families, multiple generations removed, and the people who work in those settings help make up this tax base. We have an opportunity with proper planning to do something meaningful. If you want to ask appropriate questions, make sure things are staffed, trained, make sure that the provisions are in place for conditional planning, by all means. But to outright deny something based on its human, social elements, I think is nearsighted, and I think we should be more proud of ourselves.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
And I acknowledge in the beginning that if you're not finished, contact the ladies and they'll let you know. Okay?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much.
These are somewhat cropped, but here are some invitations. Friday's event, please. Thank you. Choose a good one.
So, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to number 8 is our council report, and our council has been very active. We've gone to many meetings, but one of the things that we took on as new council is meetings, committees, and we have made various additional committees to what was previously in our municipality. And I tasked all of our councillors to come up with terms of reference for the committees that they were chairing. So, they did that. And I asked them that they bring forward their terms of reference for tonight. Now, we're not going to stand here and read you all the terms of reference. But what we want to do is, anyone else want to leave? Now's the time. Okay, preference. The point of presenting these is so that you know, sir, could you stand at that door? The people leaving are, they're being way too noisy. Don't have to verbally take them to task. Thank you.
Your patience, chase away.
There you go. So, I have 3 committees as mayor that, I'm looking after. They are Fire Services, Emergency Measures Organization, and Finance. These are the terms of reference. They will go to, the ladies who work in the office. The next step will be for us as council to review everybody's and have input, and then we will post them after they're finalized up on the website for you to see. Now, if you recall, we also said that people that have expertise in any of these areas who are living in our communities, you want to put your hand up and come help us on some of these committees, contact these ladies as well, just give them a little bit of background about what your expertise is, you know, does your education apply to whatever it is that you want to do, that type of thing, and we would be happy to review them and have you join us. So, Ms. Jen, here's mine. Councillor Sturgeon, you're next.
So, I'll give my report, for dates June 10th to July 6th inclusive. This month's responsibilities began with the establishment of roles and responsibilities regarding committees and groups. I've been assigned co-chairs in both Parks and Recreation as well as tourism. I'll do Parks and Recreation first. Spoke with Councillor Underhill about some maintenance that needed to be conducted, on the ATV trail at the lower end of the bridge leading into the park. There was a significant dip there. We agreed, presented a significant, potential hazard for the upcoming Character Matters Dare the Dark event. I spoke with the park workers, following our conversation, and they agreed that the hazard was valid, and they were going to use some crushed stone to fix that up. Planning for the Canada Day celebration took most of the focus relating to this, relating to parks this month. Musical entertainment was secured for the Toe Jammers and Hammer Walls, and agreement to play at the park, the fireworks event. Food vending was secured. The Black Fire Department was, agreed to be on site, barbecuing hot dogs, hamburgers, and providing curly fries for sale for the duration of the fireworks event and the events following the parade on July 1st. Cotton candy sales were also booked, as well as Dunblot Energy in agreement to be on site, offering flavored drinks. The municipality's foam machine and Bounty Castle were also secured for the events following the parade. While I was unable to attend the events, my conversations with residents in attendance boasted the fireworks were the best yet. Food services were well supported, and the parade had one of the largest number of floats and community attendance in recent memory. Sunny Corner Fire Department also hosted a pancake breakfast on July 1st, which all councils all attended and enjoyed. I would like to offer gratitude on behalf of the council to anybody that was involved in planning, preparation, and execution of these events. The celebration is only as successful as the amount of effort that is put into its execution, so well done by all. Summer sports is returned for residents in Blackwood and surrounding areas at the Blackwood Ballpark at a cost of $10 per child and $25 per family. Registration was held on July 2nd with strong numbers of registration. It will be facilitated by 2 summer students, both of whom have strong experience in coaching and presentation and participation of recreation activities. Blackwood Ballpark also hosted multiple slope-pitch tournaments this month, including the annual Thomas Dunn Memorial. All tournaments were successful with no major issues reported by organizers. I'm in consultation with an organizing member in a neighboring community about the possibility of starting a street/ball hockey league in collaboration with NHL Street. We're working to examine the viability of such a program and consulting to see which venues, the outdoor rink, the Tom Dunham Arena, and the Sunny Corner Arena may be available to host such events. And I already spoke to a quote detailing the Northern School walking trail. In terms of tourism, summer student work placement has begun in the tourism building. A contract has been drafted and presented to Character Matters, outlining both party commitments in relation to the Dare the Dark performance. to be presented beginning of the tourism building and ending of the park. Both represented parties have signed the contract. First, presentation of Dare the Dark performance took place on June 7th, and the performance was attended by approximately 10 people. For the first performance, I expect the attendance for the performances to follow a similar trend to last summer, which saw attendance steadily increase as the season progressed. I'll move on to others, kind of miscellaneous, there's only a few. Community residents continue to share concerns, and I've heard a bunch here this evening about Harvest House in the Milton area. They continue to ask me to keep their concerns in mind while engaging in any decision-making process. Many residents have reached out with me sharing concerns with future health services in the Blackville area with an impending retirement of the last practicing family physician at the clinic. Many feel the proper foresight was not given by Horizon in preparation for this retirement and are concerned I've answered their concerns by sharing that health services is now an established committee within council, and we're currently engaged with Horizon to set up a meeting for both parties to voice concerns and get questions answered from Horizon representatives. And that is everything I have. Move the adoption of my report.
Thank you, Councillor Sturgeon. Moved by Councillor Sturgeon, his report. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Pluggy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Councillor Donovan.
So I'll just piggyback off Max, we co-chair Parks Recreation. We worked with the ball field and Renews to look at some upgrades. They had some money set away from the previous council, so it's not out of this budget, but $11,000 there, and that's going towards replacing the dugouts because they're falling down, and it's a safety concern to even just play ball there in the field. They're also looking to upgrade their washrooms, which was a major concern for safety and hygiene, I guess. We worked with the Millerton Rec Council on the walking trail. Something we think would be good for the community of Millerton. I know when we were campaigning, they spoke about, they felt like on a desert island, that they don't get as much stuff or in that area as other places. So we're looking and working really close as a whole group to see what we can do to help out. I spoke to residents about the Harvest House and their concerns. Once again, the board, I don't know how to answer that, but we're taking everything you guys are saying to heart, and we're trying to understand the best as possible situation. Spoke to the council about stop signs on the ATV trails, and there's a couple spots where the stop signs are not on the trail itself, but the road adjacent to the trail that crosses it, and it's a safety concern because the vehicles are halfway across the trails before they can see if there's ATV coming up. And I'll leave my second committee to Marilyn.
And would you like to make a motion to?
Yes.
So, motion by Councillor Donovan to move his report. Seconder, Marilyn, Underhill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Mash and post. Motion passed. Moving along, Councillor Hare, I believe, is somewhere on vacation in Newfoundland. Good for her. Newfoundland's beautiful. So she will give us her report in the office meeting. The next councillor on board is Councillor Buggy.
I'm chair of the HR committee. The HR committee report for the month of June. The HR committee developed a draft terms of reference document for the human resources working group. The draft currently includes purpose, authority, mandate, membership, meetings, confidentiality, and conflict of interest. It has been given to council for their review, and we hope to have it adopted in our August meeting. We also put a notice on our website for anyone who has interest in being part of this working group. We have 2 people interested so far. ideally, and this is only my own opinion, I'd like to have 5 or more on this year. It'd be great. I motion to have this report, or adopt this report as presented.
Moved by Councillor Buggy to adopt his report, seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion passed. Councillor Underhill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to start with the Health Services Committee. I do want to preface this. Sometimes within municipalities, folks believe we have responsibility for health services provision. So I just want to clarify this. Local government does not have any jurisdiction or responsibility over the provision of health care. However, what we do have, we have a responsibility to bring the concerns of our community to those who do make those decisions and ensure those health services are provided. So what we plan on doing as well is I've drafted a term of reference that we will have posted. We do have one person from the community that's interested so far, so I would ask folks to consider becoming part of that particular group. So next step is that I plan on scheduling a meeting for August. If I have enough membership, I will be canvassing for folks to try to lure them into the committee. So, similar to what Councillor Sturgeon had already alluded to, the Blackwell Health Center. So earlier this month, we've heard from many members of the community, people were opening their doors wherever we went to raise their concerns about the lone physician at our health center retiring. Firstly, we want to wish Dr. Arthur Beaudet all the best. He's been a dedicated physician to our area for many, many years. I don't know exactly when he started, but it was a long time ago, just after Dr. O'Flaherty had retired. So when council heard of Dr. Beaudet's impending and very well-deserved retirement, we reached out to a number of people on your behalf as mayor and council and Rimshire River Valley. We sent letters of concern to the Horizon Health Network CEO, Margaret Melanson. We sent a letter to the Health Minister, Dr. John Dornan, and we sent a letter of concern to Premier Susan Holt, indicating our concern for our community and requesting what steps are being taken to ensure ongoing health services are provided to people in our area. What I can tell you, I received a phone call from Minister Dornan approximately 1 week after we sent the letter. He wanted to assure us that he wanted to work with us. He does not make the decisions for Horizon. However, he wants to be kept updated of where we are and where we're moving to. Horizon has also contacted us. We are going to be scheduling a meeting. We've provided 2 dates in the one next week and one the following week to meet with officials from Horizon Health Network. From our perspective as council, we know that we have had Dr. Beaudet working part-time for approximately 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. Dr. Sagani has retired then. So we believe Horizon has had 3 years to come up with a plan for our Blackwell Health Center. So we want to be able to work with them, we want to be able to raise your concerns, and that will be our plan going forward. So stay tuned, there'll be more coming. I'm happy to also say regarding to wellness, wellness in our community is thriving, and I'm using this from a Ward 3 example if you don't mind bearing with me. We now have pickleball. We have pickleball, and it's important everyone takes note of that, 3 times a week, Monday and Wednesday now at the Renews Arena, Tuesday evenings at the Blackwell Sports Field. We have a Blackwell softball league going strong, up 17, increase of 2 from last year. And we're very fortunate to have youth baseball teams from across the ages. So that is excellent, and that's what we want, to be able to ensure services are provided to the youth and the adults as well. The Old Fashioned Christmas team are working diligently planning the upcoming Old Fashioned Christmas events from November 2026. We're always looking to add additional people people to our team, so please, if you're interested in Christmas and those events, please reach out. Under Public Safety, EM, and Fire Services update, we want to tell you that coming in the very near future, we'll be launching the Emergency Measures Committee, so stay tuned. Ward 3 events, again, Canada Day event. The Blackville Village Market is ongoing, it's already started. Dare the Dark Adventures. I have received a number of infrastructure requests from our ward. I want you to know and be rest assured those have been itemized and provided on to the appropriate people in the municipality. And I've also been in contact and discussions with the Dungarvan ATV Club to talk about the potential of legalizing some of the roads that the ATV side-by-sides are currently on. Obviously, our primary concern is ensuring that these would be done with safety at the forefront of everything. However, to support tourism, and this is not economic boom, because we know side-by-side tourism is steadily increasing over the past few years, and it's only expected to grow. We want to ensure ATV use of our roads are safe, with defined legal access. So coming in the future, we'll be having a bylaw reading, hopefully at the next meeting, identifying potential roads for legal use of ATV access. That's a great opportunity to attend educational conferences from New Brunswick Local Government Orientation Education in St. John's, June 12th and 13th. Lots of things coming up in the next month, folks, so stay tuned. We'll be putting a lot of things out on our website, and we want to make sure we keep you informed. I'd like to make a motion to have this report,
To approve this report.
to approve this report.
Moved by, Councillor Underhill, seconded by Councillor Donovan. Question? Yes. And this isn't a debate, so I'm not going to step down, Matt. It's just something, it's something I wanted to add. So Marilyn is working diligently on ATV stuff. She mentioned all the good stuff and so on. It's, going to be coming forth in bylaws here. Being from the other side of the hill, I need to point out that we are also looking for some permission to use ATVs on certain sections of highway, particularly from the Sunny Corner, Irving to the mouth of the Mullen Stream Road. And I had to add that, or one of my neighbors would hang me, so.
We do have other roads in Blackville and renewed as well, so that will be coming out.
So, great report, that was the question, all those in favor? Contrary? Passed. And, last but not least, Councillor Holohan.
Mine is brief in comparison to Marilyn. As I'm on HR with Rod, which he addressed, I have nothing new to add, and finance, which I also have nothing new to add. My only addition would be to petition again people that are interested and can help out with any committee, not even just those two. Please, the sooner you can submit your application, the faster we can get things done and approved. And that's basically it, other than the fact that, again, constituents have come to me with Carter's House and medical, which we've already kind of addressed, so won't be the deadline on your list.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Councillor Holohan, seconded by Councillor Buggy. All those, question? All those in favor? Aye. Passed. And folks, I hope that these people have impressed upon you tonight that they are working. Many things is happening, to try to make our municipality a better place for us all to live. If I had written all day, I wouldn't have had time to tell you all of the things that, myself and the others have been doing. I will make an effort to try to put a written report together that you can read on the, website, should you be interested, because I've already raised that, and it's still be council at 12 o'clock. So, moving on, staff reports, financial report, Jen McLaughlin.
Okay, everybody should have a copy of their financial statement. Yeah, you can look through it if you have any questions. It's not much different than last month, actually.
Questions, anyone?
I'll move the report as submitted.
One second.
So, moved by Councillor Sturgeon and seconded by Councillor Holohan, that the financial report presented by Treasurer Jen McLaughlin be approved. Moved and seconded, questions? All those in favor? Aye. All right, business arising from the minutes. Going to ask Tina to jog my memory if there's something that should be in there.
No, it's just a sample item of this slide.
The previous minutes of, June 16th or June 2nd, itself. You have our minutes before you, we also have them in advance. Is there anything in those minutes that you'd like to address, Councillor Underhill?
No, just the fact that we would like to have the bylaws that were on that June 2nd meeting added to the next meeting, please.
Anything else?
I just make a suggestion that business arising from the minutes, we should have that right after the approval of the minutes. Just instead of number 10, have it number 5. You just move it up, just so we're, just for continuity.
Move it into 5 because we're approving the minutes and then,
Yeah, if there's any business arising from, we
deal
can discuss
with,
it.
yeah, business arising from the minutes right after. I'm sure that we can do that for our next agenda. Get all of that in. All right, moving on to new business, we have several items on the agenda tonight. 11.1 is a lease for Nelda's Cafe. Ms. Tina.
Yes, so her lease is up August 31st, and I was speaking with her, she wishes to extend for 1 year. With the same terms and conditions as the lease she has, and you guys all have copies of all that.
So the lease is in our package, council. We would have had time to look at it. Are there any questions or concerns, or would somebody like to go ahead and proceed with that? Councillor Underhill?
I will motion that we proceed to extend your lease for 1 year.
So, moved by Councillor Underhill, seconded by Councillor Holohan, that, item 11.1, lease for Nelda's Cafe, be extended for a period of 1 year. Moved and seconded, questions?
What's the rent per month there? We don't have, that's not on the.
Yeah,
Is it?
500, I believe.
Pardon me?
It's 500.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Contract itself, okay, sorry.
So if you didn't hear and you're wondering, the amount of the lease per month is $500 per month. So that was, Councillor Buggy's question, it's in the contract. Moved and seconded, we questioned it, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion approved. Item 11.2 is an RDC application for approval.
Everybody should have a copy of that as well.
Yeah, I do.
So I need to for the application.
Okay, so, we have the application in our, package. We need a mover and a seconder, and then we can discuss it. We have a mover to move this forward, moved by Senator. Moved by Councilor Hollihan, do we have a seconder?
Feel free to help us out.
Seconded by Senator Underwood. Okay, so on the question, so in the application, and I did look at it, maybe I looked at it too quickly, but I couldn't see the amount that we were applying for.
Right, so it depends on the actual total cost of the project.
Mhm.
Under this one, we get it in, so, how much for this price? Only 1,000 under this one, but I will make another application if you're another program, just for this one.
So in this particular application, we're applying for $1,000. We're applying to, the Regional Development Corporation, which is part of the government of New Brunswick. I think we better tell the people what it is, that we're going to put $1,000 toward.
So the third resolution is be it resolved that council approves the submission of an application to the Regional Development Corporation for funding to support the air in the dark Dumb River Cooper experience for the 2026 season, and authorize the chief administrative officer to complete and submit the application on behalf of the mayor and chief of staff.
So, just a question again, that, to resolve that with me here now, who gets the $1,000? The municipality or there in the dark?
No,
The municipality, okay, so is everybody clear with that? Yes. This application is for the funding to the municipality for $1,000. Okay, I guess I beat that one to death. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion passed. Councilor Underhill had, two other, sections on the agenda, 11.2, which was Emergency Measures Committee, and 11.4, which was an appointment of the interim director. At the beginning of the acceptance of the agenda, she removed those. 11.5 is wastewater compliance. So, anybody that lives here knows that there's a lagoon down there, it's a wastewater, facility, and, I'm thinking that most of the houses in Blackville would be, somehow attached to that. We got notification from the province of New Brunswick, the Department of Environment in particular, that, the municipality was in violation of being, non-compliant because our numbers, were too high. So what this actually says, the review found that the effluent samples results for the CBOD fog were above the limit of 25 milligrams of CBOD 5 per liter, for the average of 2025. So this is last year's numbers, not this year's. This is in non-compliance with condition 4 of your approval to operate under section 3714, which states the following. So, the long and the short of it, on June the 22nd, the Department of the Environment said, your numbers are out of whack, you're non-compliant, you need to do something about it. Tina was on holidays, I believe, when we got this. I reached out to the gentleman who sent us the letter, and he said, that we didn't have to have it fixed by June the 22nd, but we had to be in the process of making the plan fixed. So, the plan, of course, we had to reach out with multiple, quotes, from people who deal with wastewater management. We reached out for 3 or 4, we received 2. One was from, NGO, and one was from CBCL. And what both of them are proposing to do is they have to come and they have to do an assessment and see if they can see visually how the lagoon is working and visually what could possibly be wrong with it. And then the second thing that they have to do, and the way the man described it to me, is somebody has a great job, they get in a boat, and the boat has, ultrasound pontoons on it, and those pontoons will send signals down to determine how much sludge is built up in the lagoon, and there's too much sludge in the lagoon, and that's why there's these samples that aren't correct. I don't think I ever even knew there was a sewage treatment plant there, but it's, that from asking people in the village, I think, Tina, it's never been, had anything done with it? Okay, so Tina's lived here a lot longer than I've been driving through here. So to her knowledge, nothing has ever been done, like with that. So that's the two things that these companies are bidding on. One, to come and take a look to see if they can see what's wrong, and secondly, they're going to measure the amount of sludge. So, we need to pick one of them to do it, and, we're looking at Englobe. Englobe was formerly, Crandall, so when Matt was on council a long time ago, or a few years ago, they dealt with a company called Crandall. It is now Englobe. I'm trying to find Englobe. So they are going, the quote from Englobe is for the site visit is $2,900. The quote to do the sludge survey is $10,900. The quote from the other company, CBCL, for their site visit was $7,500, and the quote for the sludge was $19,847. As you can see, Englobe is considerably less expensive. So be it resolved that council approve the quotation submitted by Englobe to complete the wastewater lagoon compliance review for the municipality of Miramichi River Valley in accordance with the terms and pricing outlined in the quotation, and authorizes the chief administrative officer to execute any documents necessary to proceed with the work. That is the motion we have on the floor. Before we discuss it, it has to be seconded, so it's moved by Marilyn? Sure. Yeah, so it's moved by Marilyn and seconded by Matt. We've got a mover and a seconder. Questions, folks?
Just the scope of the work, both, we're comparing apples to apples, what I want to know, if both those companies are going to be able to do the exact same thing?
I'm not an expert in wastewater, but it's all there, Councillor Buggy.
That's well over twice the amount, that's all.
So, the best that I can determine, they're delivering the same thing, both the site visit, and then, a determination of how much sludge is in the lagoon. We do have to get back to the Department of the Environment, soon, and show them that we are making progress and taking steps to restore that so that it's not in a non-compliant state. So, I question that.
So just based on the quotes, I mean, obviously Englobe's lower, but the benefit there is also that formerly Crandall, they would have knowledge on file as to what we have for infrastructure there already. So, and that may be why the quote's considerably lower. So I would be, and having worked with them before on a couple of different projects, I would be 100% in favor of them moving on with that.
So, that is reasonable. I know we shouldn't make assumptions, but that is a reasonable assumption to make. You've heard the motion, it's moved, it's seconded, any further discussion on the question? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion moved, so, Tina, tomorrow you can start that process, and, tomorrow you can reach out to, Jeremy at the Department of the Environment and tell him that we've hired somebody to do this really? Now, I'm going to give you a shocker. If we have to dredge that lagoon, it's going to cost a lot of money. Tina, you and I talked to them about it. Can you remember? But it was a lot, like 300 and some thousand. Yeah, so starting around 300 and some thousand. And if we, God forbid, ever have to put an irrigation system in, which if you cross the new bridge in town, you'll see the lagoon with the water being irrigated. We're looking at over $1 million. So let's keep our fingers crossed that they can figure out what's wrong with it. Tell us how we can get some of that sludge dealt with, and so that we don't have to come back and say, make another motion to approve us finding a whole pot full of money at the end of the rainbow somewhere. Thank you for moving that. Item number 11.6, PRAC, presentation on bylaw, and Tina is going to present that. Oh, wow, your name's on it.
Okay, yeah. So the Regional Service Commission is looking for authorization for the PRAC to review the planning act that they are doing. So basically they're working on creating this bylaw for council, and they want to present it to the PRAC. So it's the planning advisory committee, sorry. So they just need authorization to present it to the PRAC committee. What they've worked, it still has to come to council, it's just for them to present it to the PRAC committee. They need authorization.
I know we gotta move it, we got a second, and then we got a question. So I guess we go through the process, but I think there's probably lots of questions on it. Do we have a mover for this motion? Tina, you might want to read the motion there.
Okay, sure. Be it resolved by council to approve the request from the Greater Maryland Regional Service Commission Development Services to proceed with the preparation of a new subdivision bylaw for the municipality of the Miramichi River Valley, and authorize development services to request the review of the Regional Planning Review and Adjustment Committee in accordance with section 110 of the Community Plan Act.
So you've heard the motion. Does everybody understand the motion, or should we read it again?
I'm unclear. I don't know if you have to read it again, just explain what it,
Well,
exactly what it
Do you have
means.
your background, Chief?
No. That's been one of the big things.
Very good.
Okay.
Motion, and if you can have the discussion for that.
Councillor Underhill is right, we have to, motion it. Do we have a motion to move this forward? Moved by Councillor Underhill, seconded by Councillor Hollahan, and, now we're on the question, so, Rodney, you certainly have questions, I know I have questions. As pointed out, there is a sheet on the back there that's supposed to, give us some more information about it.
I can read the background if you want.
I don't think you have to read the whole thing, you know, I just like the development services to proceed with the preparation of a new subdivision bylaw for the municipality of Miramichi River Valley. So they're just gonna prepare one, so that doesn't.
No, that's right, they're preparing one and they want us to present it to the PRAC
Okay,
committee.
that
But they
makes.
need authorization from us to present it to the PRAC.
Okay, so do we have to approve that before it goes, before it comes back, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that makes sense, I just wanna make sure that we had.
Yeah.
What this committee, this council had said.
Councillor Underhill?
So just so I understand, the new subdivision bylaw will replace the rural plan, the amendment? They're doing this new rural plan amendment. Okay, rural plan.
The rural plan we have now is just for Blackville, so they need to make one for the River Valley.
on this with this crack committee, correct?
Well, it's the Regional Service Commission is actually doing the plan, but it will be presented
To the crack.
and to the council.
So as part of the regional commission, I sat on the board of directors there. I have discussed this item in particular with, their, executive director, Roberta McIntyre. I think she's a pretty straight shooter, and she has given me her word that, not her word, it's actually in law, that no matter what they would come to as a proposal, that you would have the final A or nay on that. It's scary, because, I mean, we have to put our trust in and that's what's going to happen, because we don't want something coming to us that might not. Am I debating this?
No, I think it's just, point of
No,
clarification.
you're speaking, and I
Yeah,
know.
okay.
Yeah.
So the part that's underlined here, and I think this is the part that we have to dwell on, the authorization given by council, that's us, is a formality to ask the PRAC, and for those people who don't know, PRAC stands for, Judy, you're on the PRAC, what does PRAC stand for? PRAC.
It's
Planning, Review, and
Adjustment
Adjustment.
Committee.
Planning, Review, and Adjustment Committee. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but, I knew that you were on it. So it's a formality to ask the PRAC for its views on bylaw. Proposal, in this case, a proposed new subdivision bylaw. The council authorization, that's us, we're looking for authorization from, comes in a form of a letter addressed to the Development Services of the Greater Miramichi Service Committee to proceed with the presentation of the bylaw to the PRAC, section 1101 for the Community Planning Act. The PRAC will then provide its recommendations or views of the bylaw to council for an eventual adoption. Or dismissal, I would say. I mean, we're not necessarily going to adopt it.
Potential would be a better word.
Yeah. So, any further, questions or discussions before we vote on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't know whether to vote for it or not. Okay, I'll vote for it. So, passed unanimously. So you people that are sitting in here that are on the PRAC, we expect you to, keep us well aware of the things that's happening that might be affecting our community, and, reach out to us if there's anything that we need to know about. All right. Now, actually, I'm gonna kick y'all out this time. Yeah, both sessions. Somebody will come and get you, this will not take long, folks, so, jump in the seat and we can move on. Bedtime. So we've already made a motion that our closed session has, transpired, it's ceased, it's over. We're back now into, a regular open session, and there's some things that we have to bring forward from the closed session to the open one. So if you have an agenda, you'll look at it, and it'll say new business continued. 11.7, the code of conduct, conflict of interest complaint of July 9th, 2025. This has been tabled. It's moved and seconded, that will be tabled until, council has, appropriate time to review it, and it'll come forward again, and we'll make decisions on it then, where appropriate. So, then, So that was 12-1 of the, closed session. 12-2, Rodney, you've got that one?
Be it resolved, the council acknowledge, receive the supervisor's report to the 2026 Membership River Valley Rural Community Council dated May 15, 2026, and direct administration to bring forward the recommendations contained in the report for council's consideration and implementation where appropriate. I motion that.
Do we have to move the second as well?
Yes.
Okay, so that Rodney moved that, it was seconded by Marilyn. Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to 12.3, personnel matter, wastewater department, Tina?
So the motion is be it resolved that council appoint Peggy Gillespie to the position of wastewater operator effective July the 7th, and authorize the chief administrative officer to complete all necessary administrative actions related to the appointment.
You've heard the motion, do we have a mover? Marilyn moves, Tyson seconds. Question? All those in favor? Aye. Personnel matter, job descriptions, Rodney?
Be it resolved, the council authorize Human Resources Committee to coordinate the recruitment process for the positions of Chief Administrative Officer and Fire Services Advisor and provide recommendations to council respecting the appointment of candidates.
You've heard the motion, do we have a seconder? Seconded by Matt. Question? On the question, all those in favor? Aye. Passed. Continuing on under new business, we have another motion on the floor. Matt is going to make the motion.
I move the council proceed with the hiring of Paul Landry of McIntyre and Finn and Associates located in Dieppe, New Brunswick, to provide legal services in the area of municipal legal affairs when specialized municipal legal services are required. Mr. Landry and his firm will be used when needed and will bill hourly when legal services or opinions are rendered with no standing retainer or contract commitment binding due parties.
You've heard the motion, moved by Matt, seconded by Justin. On the question, anybody have anything more to add? All those in favor? Is that all the movies? Date of the next meeting? Date of the next meeting is August 4th, 2026. And you need a motion for adjournment. I so move. Moved by Marilyn to adjourn, seconded by Tyson says, pick me. Question? All those in favor? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We don't see you anymore, we'll see y'all on August 4th.
I leave on the way.
You're away? Okay, well, you know.
What if I have any?
I think we did go ahead and do it.
We're meeting before that though.